All right, so I've been all over the internet. There was no video to help explain how to solve this problem. I have a Heat Glo Escape I35 fireplace. The pilot light went out because of a power outage, and I couldn't figure out how to turn it back on. The videos on the internet gave instructions to go under the fireplace. As you'll soon find out, it's not possible to go under the fireplace. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm actually starting backwards. The fireplace has been taken apart. Wasn't very hard, just a couple of tools to get it open. I want to show you what we're after. So this is a schematic from the owner's manual. And in the owner's manual, what you're trying to get at is this selector switch. If you're using the remote and it's in remote mode and the power goes out, it's possible that the pilot light will not turn back on. The instructions from the manufacturer, after having talked to them, is that you need to move the switch from remote to off and then wait for, say, 30 seconds and then switch it to on. If you switch it to on, then the flame should come on, the pilot light should come on, and thus the fireplace should turn on manually. You'll be confused because there's a second switch in the back that has a low and a high to control the flame. So if you feel the switch moving only once back and forth one way, that's just the high and the low switch, and that's different. You're going to want to just make sure you're adjusting the two. This switch that goes from on to off to remote has essentially 2 clicks along the way. So the challenge that's not really solved is that how do you get to this switch? So I'm going to point that out to you right now. If you'll come down a little bit closer, what I've got is the frame of this unit inside of an old fireplace. And you unfortunately have to remove a lot of things to get to it. But the unit that I'm referring to here is right on the side. There's no unscrewing that you have to do. You can use your hands to feel it. There's no electronics exposed that will electrocute or cause you any harm. You'll literally put your hand on it and you'll immediately feel the two switches there. So the one switch is going to be controlling the flame, and there's another switch that's going to control the flame size, and the other switch is going to turn it on. So what I'm going to do now to demonstrate is I'm going to turn it on, and what you'll see is in a moment the fireplace will turn itself on manually. You do not want to put a lighter there. You do not want, if you smell any gas, you don't want to turn this on. This is like you kind of have to sort of do the process of elimination and make sure that nothing else, you don't smell gas. But setting it aside, that's what I did. By the way, while you do this, you've got that switch that controls the flame size, and it's kind of like an interesting time to sort of test that out. I actually own this unit and didn't sort of know what it meant to have the flame size adjusted one way or the other, so I was kind of curious if it made much of a difference. And I'm noticing that it doesn't really make much of a difference. So now once you've done that, you now can move the switch back to the off position, and then you're going to now put it into the remote position, and it should be ready to go, which means that it will turn on or off on the command of the remote control. Now the important difference is that you're going to see now that I put it in remote mode and the pilot light is going to be on. You can control the pilot light from the remote. I'm not going to get to that in this video. All I'm going to say is if you have the RC300, it's in the off position. I'm going to click on and the flame's going to turn on. The fireplace is working fine. What I'm told by the factory technicians is that occasionally, but not always, if there's a power outage, the unit just shuts off, and when the power comes back on, the pilot light does not restart, so you have to go through this reset mode. There's one more thing that I want to share with you about this particular product. It's actually a fairly, although it looks very bulky, it's actually a fairly basic utility. The back of the unit has a plug in it that is no different then a plug you would plug in your wall. If the unit is still not operating after a power outage, you may want to go down to your fuse box in the basement and make sure that the power switch for the fireplace has not been tripped. It's running off of basic 3-prong like a power outlet, just like you would have in your home. It's possible that for whatever reason the power has been tripped. So this is just a simple troubleshooting and solution for getting the pilot light back on in this $4,000 fireplace that requires a very expensive service call, which you can otherwise solve on yourselves.